All right, this story takes so many turns. I'm gonna try to be as brief as I can, but there's so much to this one. This track's called Valley of Doom, features myself, Savant, and Hexsagon, produced by DN3. So, let me think. Let me go back. I gotta go back to the summertime for this one. This was summer of 2010, Comic-Con, San Diego. Pure madness at Comic-Con. When I get there, my Capcom contact is like, all right, just come straight to the Capcom booth when you get here. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I got some people I want you to meet. You got to get here. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. So I'm traveling and walking, and you're just like braving all the people. Like there's just like seas of people coming at me, and I'm trying to weave through them. I mean, it was just nuts. I get there, and he introduces me to the team that's working on the Mega Man Universe game. And it's just such an awesome experience. I get to talk to those guys. And they wanted me to do the Capcom Unity podcast. They were shooting like live. They were going to be filming and you streaming it. So I said, all right, cool. So it was my time to go up, and there's another gentleman there. And so Joveth, my Capcom Connect, hooked me up and introduced me to Bear McCreary. Now, at the time I'd heard the name sounded familiar. Bear McCreary. All right, so we meet, we talk. He's like, yeah, you guys are both, composers, musicians, blah, blah, blah. And so he told me that Bear's biggest project was Battlestar Galactica. Like he's done the soundtrack, and that was just pretty amazing. Kind of blew my mind that I'm standing right next to the guy who did Battlestar Galactica. That's dope. So anyway, when it was time to do our Ustream, he wanted myself and Bear to do it together. Now I had just met Bear like 2 minutes prior, so now we're all getting up there together and talking about our various projects and things. So it was pretty cool, but at that time we didn't know each other at all, so we chatted. He said he had heard some of my stuff. Of course I had heard his work. He also did some stuff for Capcom. He did the Dark Void soundtrack, and then we were just chatting about different types of music we loved and video games. I mean, we're both from the same kind of train of thought, same school of thought. Cool thing about Bear is, among other things, he plays the accordion, which I thought was really dope. And I asked him, does he put that into his soundtrack work? He's like, man, as much as possible. And I said, well, yeah, if you learn how to do it, you probably should try to do that. So anyway, he told me that in addition to doing the Dark Void soundtrack, because he's such an 8-bit head like myself, he did a remix of the Dark Void soundtrack, and it's all 8-bit. And I'm like, oh, that is dope. So what he did was he gave me, later on, after we did the whole podcast thing, he emailed me a file of his Dark Void soundtrack, and then he sent me one in the mail signed, and I just thought that was so awesome. I gave him the Forever Famicom. He told me he loved it. That was one of those tweets that like I saved in my favorites. So if anybody can see my favorite tweets, the shout out from Bear McCreary is definitely in my favorites. So long story shorter is that after that he sent me the soundtrack, and he's like, man, I really want you to do something with this. And I'm like, really? Do something? Like flip some beats and rap on them? And he's like, yeah, I would love to hear that, man. I was like, oh, cool. Best thing about sampling usually is that you're doing it without permission, and you're trying to sneak. But when you have permission from the guy who created it, it just made me so much more happy and free. So I sent some to DN3, sent some to K Murdoch, and then DN3 came back with a piece called Valley of Doom, which was sampled off the Valley of Doom soundtrack, from the song called Valley of Doom, rather, in the Dark Void soundtrack. Track was just really dope. I mean, DN3 is a beast anyway. So I laid some verses down, but I didn't lay a full thing. I kind of like spaced a bunch of stuff out, and I was like, let's see what we can do. Sent it to a really good friend of mine who's a dope MC out of Tucson by way of Chicago, named Savant, from the crew Rare Breed. We're both members of the same collective called Nerdy Rotten Scoundrels, which is just a collective of just nerdy cats who can rap. Myself, Ranger, Untested Methods, and a lot of really talented musicians. So we get together once in a while and we do some collab tracks. So I said, you know what, we hadn't done anything in a while, let's do something. So we did the back and forth thing on there, and then we needed another verse, and it was going to be DN3, but he's real slow with the rhymes these days. And so I asked another guy by the name of Hexsagon, and if that name sounds familiar, Hexsagon's also a producer also a graphic artist from El Paso who stays out in Phoenix now. Hexsagon produced the song "The Rock," which was the Styronax sample. So I said, all right, well, let's let the people hear him on the rap tip now. So Hexsagon drops a verse, I drop a verse in pieces, and Savant comes in and kills it. I mean, it's just a real special track. I don't have any place for it per se, and I'm kind of sad that I don't. So, you know, maybe when Teacher Rapper Hero Part 2 comes around, maybe I'll throw it on there. But for now, you guys get an exclusive. Thank you for listening. Enjoy. Peace. C3 got beats, cuz. Come on, get your hands up, ha, ha, ha. Get your hands up, ha, ha, ha. Get your hands up, ha, ha, ha. Now get your hands up, yo, Savant.
What down, Ray?
These cats just don't understand, so we gotta hit them once again. And yo, the plot thick and the block flicker, your spot's missing. Stock's risen, now listen, I'm not kidding. My mission is dominance. My life's on the line, I'm an animal uncaged like Tyson in his prime.
And I'm something like a hybrid, a butterfly and bee via Ollie with the stylist ride.
Yeah, bottle up my pain, then I write it in the rhyme. Watch it leak out the pen, one item at a time.
So do I, so it's itemized. Once I hit the lines, I'm revived and revitalized and prime. The night is live, inscribed, inscrutable, indisputable. Feeling is shy, bring the truest to it. Boost the music will simply inspire the youth who put their lives on a pad. Young, gifted with the writtens, exhibiting more than swag. Itching to get itching with spitters and mom and dad's fun. Random, step into the realm and get his spaz on.
When it comes to peers, we have none. Shook ones wanna grab guns, AK, sex, and magnums. You don't want what happened to the last one who went one-on-one with the dragon, a rap un. Scott Pilgrim, I just do not feel them. Rappers who spend time destroying and not building. I stopped chilling in spots I frequented. Producers send me tracks, Savant, and I kill
and
them.
I fill them with something via puns, rhyme style. Shatter rappers, unilateral patterns. I'm lights out. Who run mics wild?
And I'm the one right now. I'm everywhere like Drake's punchline style.
And when it's crunch time, dial up the squadron. NRS leaders and VPs of the genre. We the best, see the rest.
I see them BBMing, tweeting and texting, get mad when they see me winning. But I ain't got SUVs with TVs in them.
And they don't either, man. Don't believe the thieves they spinning. These cats are standing in line at the Colonel's chicken ride. They be like, can I get that there 3-piece chicken? See them lying.
Get your hands up, ha, ha, ha. 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 What up? Okay. Yeah.
My wave transmissions freeze the competition. I leave them shocked like a clumsy electrician. Interfere with the mission and get blinded by the vision. I'm firing up the heat like I'm cooking in the kitchen. My fan base follows the flow, stay consistent. Smash the opposition, break through all resistance. I'm building bridges, connections, moving positions. Socializing networks so you know of my existence. I don't spit lyrics that attract the crickets. I make noise to scare even the toughest critics. Never afraid to take any step. Ever since making music, man, I build rep. What you expect? Another weakling? Skip an MC like me? You must be sleeping. Since I came, I put cats to shame. No hurricane can extinguish my eternal flame.
Get your hands up, ha, ha, ha. Get your hands up, ha, ha, ha. Get your hands up.